In the previous video, I showed you how to produce a very simple bar chart based on one categorical variable. We showed how many students attend each faculty, right? Now we're going to stay with just one variable, but we're going to deal with a continuous variable rather than a categorical variable. So now we're going to look at the category of the variable of age, right? So the student's age, how old are students? And we're going to, again, go to R. And two options here that we have to produce simple graphics to look at one continuous variable are, for example, a histogram and a box plot. Both show the distribution of a variable, of a continuous variable. So based on what we've already learned in the previous session about the general grammar of ggplot, let's apply it here based on a new variable and a new type of plot. So again, we're going to call ggplot function, and we're going to refer in it to the data frame that we're using, which is the students. We divide a comma, we add the aesthetics function, and we actually want to now, in our histogram, visualize age on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis. So this is our general graph area that we produce. You see it on the bottom right-hand corner here. We have age on the x-axis, but still empty. Then with the plus sign, we're going to add a new geom, which is histogram, geom histogram. Remember in the previous video, we used geom bar, which produces a bar chart. Now we're going to use geom histogram. Within the geom histogram function, we're going to define how wide the bars are in this histogram. And we're going to use here bin width 0.5. And we're just also going to define the color of the bars, which now I'm choosing light blue. So fill equal light blue. Okay, if we run that, it looks like this. Not bad. We see here, number of students increases starting with sort of 15, 16, 17. You have an average around 25 here, let's say, and it's going down again around 30. This is how age is distributed, and a histogram is sort of an effective way of showing that. Again, let's add title, subtitle, and caption to make it look a little nicer. Okay, here we have it. First histogram, number of students. All right. Now, something that's new here, let's add a theme. ggplot has some built-in themes that we can choose. It changes the overall look of the graphic. Now, you can change any aspect of this visual manually. You can change it by defining any aspect of this visual, but the theme does it by changing a lot of the aspects at the same time in the background, so you don't have to worry about them, right? There are different themes to choose from, and you can, for example, choose them here by a drop-down menu when you just type in theme underscore. You get a lot of the different themes that are installed. So here I'm going to just choose the theme underscore BW, which is black and white. Let's run that. Mind you, I highlighted all of the text, which now it means that it produces a new object called hist1. So it doesn't automatically output it in the window if I include this chunk of code when I run it. So now we have to call on the object to actually visualize it. And we see here my first histogram. We have now defined the title, a caption, down here, subtitle, and so forth. Doesn't look too bad. And you see the overall look does change. It looks a little bit more elegant. All right. That's a histogram. Now let's do a box plot. A box plot, I provided links in the online course. You should look it up what it is if you don't know what it is. It shows also the distribution based on the median, the entire quartile range, and it's really useful to check for outliers as well, people that really deviate a lot by some sample characteristics. To do that, we're going to have the same ggplot function here when we add geom boxplot instead of geom histogram. And we just define the color here by fill equals orange. Again, we're going to add some descriptions, a title, subtitle, and a caption. What's different here now, we're also going to add a YLab option, which basically lets you change the description of the any axis actually. And YLab refers to the y-axis, XLab refers to the x-axis. And we're going to choose a new theme here, which is theme_light. Let's run that, saving a new object called boxplot1. It's a ggplot object, and we got to run it to output it. And you see here, this is our boxplot. And it is sort of useful, the line here is the median, it's around 25, 26 maybe, and the dots are outliers that are outside sort of the quartile range, so outside of the 25th lower percentile and the 75th upper percentile, right? So most of the observations cluster here, but there are a couple that really stick out, and those are the outliers, right? We have apparently 2 students who are almost 80, and 1 student here who's around 10 years old, and this lets you sort of identify issues with the data. Obviously, or it's unlikely that there are students that are close to 80, so you would want to check with the data and see if it's a quality issue. Maybe you need to kick them out of the analysis if it turns out that there are errors in the data. So this is a simple box plot in R.